Okay. Welcome to our Facebook Live portion of our Sunday, February 5th service. I'm Story Lucille Ducey, one of the faculty members of ISD Oneonta. Welcome. We are an inclusive metaphysical community honoring the God within each of us and helping everybody understand that the wisdom voice is your soul voice within each of you, speaking all the time. Let us listen. And now we're going to listen to Reverend Renee Ranke giving us our homily on knowing thyself. Renee?
Thank you, Story. Everybody over there hear me all right? Are we good? Okay, so I'm going to start out today with a parable. And it's the parable of an apple tree. Once upon a time, there was an apple tree, a glorious apple tree. Strong roots anchored it to the ground, and majestic branches reached high into the heavens. The apple tree stretched its roots and wiggled them, feeling the earth respond and give way beneath. It sighed happily and allowed its branches to wave lightly in the wind. It delighted in the music it heard emanating from its rustling leaves, and all was well. Its branches were laden with apples, and each one of its fruits was loved utterly and completely by the tree. It looked upon them with wonder and joy. Then one day, one of the apples fell from its branch and landed on the ground. Soon more and more fruit followed, dropping to the ground below the tree. But the tree was not sad. It smiled, for it knew that this was the beginning of something magical. And it watched over those apples with love. The tree knew that each apple was still protected by its roots that ran underneath, providing sustenance, and by its branches that stretched above, sheltering the fruit from the full power of the sun, the wind, and the rain. The apples began to melt into the earth, and from deep within each a host of seeds appeared. Each seed fed off its mother apple and slowly strengthened. Each seed wriggled in the ground and gave birth to its own delicate roots. And then it began to sprout branches. Soon each seed became its own tree with branches and roots that intertwined above and below with those of the apple tree. In the passing of but a moment, there was a whole orchard surrounding the apple tree, and it sat in the center watching happily. All was well. Before too long, there were acres and acres of apple trees and orchard upon orchard. Sometimes one of the seeds would view itself as it grew. It would be filled with pride as its fragile tendrils grew into sturdy roots, and as the delicate shoots transformed into ethereal branches. It would delight as those branches became strong and began producing seeded fruit capable of birthing a new tree. And sometimes it would forget. It would forget that its roots intertwined with the roots upon roots upon roots of countless trees and trillions of orchards. It would forget that somewhere in the middle of all of them sat that very first apple tree, still beaming with love and pride. It would forget that it never would have transformed into a strong tree if it were not for that network of roots and branches, that the rain would have washed it away, or the sun would have baked it until it contained no more essence, or the wind would have blown it onto a rock with no soil to sprout from. Yes, sometimes that single seed forgot, but it didn't matter. The web of all roots still embraced that seed's roots. The lace of all branches still cradled its tendrils and drew closer to strengthen its branches. And at the center of it all, there was an apple tree that glowed like gold and warmed that seed with its immense love. Good morning. Now, one morning in mid-December, I woke to hear a message very clearly. And the message was, deliver the we are spirit message. And when I heard that, I recognized that what was being referred to is what I know as, from my Catholic background, as the Holy Spirit. So as I was writing this homily, that's what I set out to do, to follow the message that I received. Which I thought was going to be pretty simple. I'll just get together with you guys and tell you, hey, you're divine. There you go. Should be pretty easy, right? Well, as usual, it didn't quite work that simply for me. I knew what I was being asked to say, but I couldn't quite figure out how to get there. And then I went outside on my deck, my magical sun deck. Those of you who have listened to my homily before, you know, it's my magic place. So I went outside on my magical sun deck, and out there, sometimes things just literally smack me upside the head. And it happened again this time. I have a tree in my side yard. Now, I have several trees, but this one is my favorite. And it's the first thing that my eyes go to when I walk out on my deck. The tree is old and is covered in fungus. And at some point in the not too distant future, I'm probably going to have it taken down. And when that day comes, I'm going to cry because that tree means a lot to me. It's a single tree with a single trunk, but somewhere in its growth, it's split. So about 6 feet or so up the trunk, it splits into 2 separate trunks. Not separate branches, totally separate trunks with their own system of branches. And to me, this tree is so spiritual. It speaks to my essence. When I was in the midst of grief, I saw this tree as a symbol of myself and my husband. I worked from the top down, 2 trunks becoming one, each with their own individuality, but firmly bonded together. But this day, as I was trying to figure out this homily for you guys, I went out on my deck and my eyes immediately went to that tree. And as I stood there looking at it, I saw it from the bottom up. One tree that as it grew, found a way to express its individuality by spinning off into 2 unique pieces, each with their own aspects, but still held together with great love by that single trunk. And I was getting closer to this homily, but I still wasn't totally there, so I continued contemplating. And as I did so, I began to understand what I was seeing metaphorically in that tree. 3 unique aspects contained within a single tree. There was the individual trunk that points to the east, the individual trunk that points to the west, and the central trunk that ties them together into one. And I'm not sure if I can really express to you the awe that I felt when I realized that my little old tree in my side yard had become to me a representation of the Trinity.
Right.
And it was at that point that I remembered the parable that had come to me several years ago, the parable of the apple tree. And when I first wrote that parable, I saw it as speaking to the fact that we each came from a God who is always with us and is always a part of us. But like my understanding of my tree, I was now seeing more in that parable. The parent, the offspring, and the orchard itself, the Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit. The parent from whence we came, that first tree that held and nourished and loved its apples, and then sent them forth to begin their own divine journey. The Son, the offspring trees, daughter, the offspring trees that grew from that first one. They represent each of us as an individual, those aspects of the parent that have been made manifest in our existence in this physical world. And the orchard, that first tree and all of the trees that came from it, the Holy Spirit. The full picture that is the existence of each of us as the whole. The roots that feed us, the branches that protect us, and the essence that is each of us. And if we return to our parable, each of those seeds that became a tree was stepping into the same role as the original apple tree. From them sprang more apples, more roots, more branches. So like the wonderful tree in my yard, we are each a trinity. We are the parent, we are the offspring, we are the completeness that is spirit. And that trinity pattern, this trinity pattern, it's mirrored through the various dimensions that we live in and that surround us. So if we contemplate the trinity from that big spiritual perspective, we can see it as the divine wholeness. God, the Father, the Mother, the parent, ourselves, the son, the daughter, the child, and the all that encompasses every single energetic being, the spirit. But let's back that down even a little bit more. Let's think of it from what I view as one of the major scientific clues that give us a hint to who we are, our DNA. If we look at our DNA, we see that trinity pattern mirrored again. The parent, who we inherit pieces of our individuality from, half from our mother, half from our father. And then the unique tapestry of that DNA that becomes just ours, that becomes us, the son, the daughter, the child. Our unique individuality that's manifested into the physical world by that creative process. But one really neat thing about DNA, 99.9% of it is shared. So every single human has 99.9% of the same DNA. So there then is the spirit, the encompassing strands that make each and every one of us a human being. And let's back down just a little bit more. Those of you with children, you know, this one's pretty obvious. You become the parent in this picture, right? You took your ownness, mixed it with that of someone else, and ushered forth a unique being. You were the creator. Within that scenario, you are the parent. Your offspring is the child. Your family becomes the spirit. That one's kind of obvious, right? Let's take it down one more notch. There's a quote that I really love, and I think I've used it in a homily before, but I'm using it again anyway. And it's from Anton St. Martin, and he wrote it in Divine Living, the Essential Guide to Your True Destiny. And he says, you are one thing only. You are a divine being, an all-powerful creator. You are a deity in jeans and a t-shirt. And within you dwells the infinite wisdom of the ages and the sacred creative forces of all that is, will be, and ever was. The sacred creative forces of all that is, will be, and ever was. That is spirit. Spirit within each and every one of us. Each time that you interact with the world, each time that you create, whether it's through writing, speaking, painting, singing, dancing, planting a garden, even baking bread, each time you become the parent and your creation becomes the child. Just by expressing an idea, you've brought something from the unmanifest and given it life in the physical world within your personal universe. You've become God, bringing forth a divine offspring, and your personal universe changes because of that action. And then, you know, like in our parable, sometimes we forget. We forget that we're built in the image of our source, that we have divinity within ourselves. We forget that it says in Genesis, God created man in his own image. In the image of God, he created him. And like each seed in our parable about the apple tree, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter when you believe or what you believe. The source of all winds above and below those branches and those roots and supports each of us in developing our own unique universe. And how you see that, how you experience it, and if and when you interact with it, that's totally up to you. The source that we come from, And the spirit that we are loves each of us as a unique aspect of itself, regardless of how we see it, whether we see it as God, oneness, Allah, or even as scientific laws like DNA. So how do we remember who we are? How do we step into that divinity? How do we begin to recognize that we're spirit? Well, honestly, I can't tell you that for sure. I believe that how each of us steps into this remembrance, it's going to be as unique as that 0.1% of our DNA. But for me, here is what I believe in and strive towards, and I would like to offer to you today. The understanding that we are each continually stepping into the role of a parent within our own energetic universe, the Father. Recognition that as creators, we are each bringing things to life, whether it's thoughts, ideas, beliefs, or actual physical creations within that energetic universe, the Sun. And then acknowledging that we're in control of the spirit of that universe, how it feels, how it plays out for us, and what components make it up. The Holy Spirit. So when Spirit told me to remind you that you are spirit, the concept of spirit is the completeness of divinity and physical together. So the best advice I can give you is to remember always that you are a spirit. You are a divine being who has been made manifest in the physical world. And that spirit within you is helping you, holding you, guiding you, like the single trunk on the tree in my backyard or the branches and the roots in that orchard. So enjoy the journey, my friends. And I'm going to close by just telling you the essence of what I wanted to say in the beginning. Hey, you are divine. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's see. Thank you, Renee Ranke, and join us online and in person at isdoneonta.org. And we have our Spirit Fest fundraiser online, Cabin Fever, February 18th. Join us. Thank you.